Well, welcome back, Fresh Baked. It seems like just 2 days ago that I started a video talking about whether or not Disneyland was ready to open. Uh, we spent 45 minutes dissecting that question, and at the end of the day, I thought, well, maybe, maybe they're ready to open. I don't know. Are we ready to open? That was what I was worried about. Were guests ready to go to Disneyland? Were we prepared to do what's necessary to go to Disneyland? But it turns out neither of us are. None of us are ready for Disneyland to open. Guests aren't ready to do what they got to do, and Disneyland isn't ready to open because they just announced today, as I record this today, that they are postponing the opening of Disneyland. No longer are they going to be opening on July 17th. We don't know what date they're going to open. It's postponed indefinitely. But they're not opening on July 17th. And according to the announcement that they made today, that was because the state of California has decided that they're not going to give Disney or any other theme park any kind of guidance as to whether or not their proposals are being accepted or rejected, or what kind of plans or what kind of revisions they might need to those proposals. They're not going to give any guidance on that until July 4th. Which is still another, 2 weeks from now or more, 2-3 weeks. And according to Disney's announcement, that's not enough time. They can't go from July 4th. Was it July 4th? I don't know if I have that date right or not. They can't go from that date to opening in 2 weeks on the 17th. They need more time. That's per the announcement from Disney today. And what's interesting is the timing of all this. This is it's a strange world, strange time we live in right now. Everything just seems so fluid and uncertain, and people don't know what to do. There's this balance that business and politicians and normal citizens like us, we're all trying to strike this balance between living and being safe. We're trying to get somewhere. Anyway, Governor Newsom today, again, as I record this, put out a statement. And in the statement, it's not really a thing that they're doing per se. What stood out in that statement was that, and we posted this on an article that we did on our website today, freshbakedisney.com. Go read that article, and you can see the video there as well of Newsom making the statement. But in it, he says basically the news that us Disneyland fans would pull from that statement is that the state of California is prepared, they're ready to revert back to more strict guidelines. And in that same breath, in that same sort of sentence of doing that, he says the words stay-at-home order. Now, I'm not here to say that that's exactly what he's talking about, but in the same statement that he said we're prepared to go back to more strict guidelines, he says stay-at-home order. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen. And he does immediately say, we don't intend to, we don't want to, but they're prepared to. And that kind of made everybody nervous. That's why it's news. That's why we post it on our website, because it gets people thinking, where's the state of California's head at? And it, at the end of that article, I conclude I think I did anyway, but if I didn't say it in the article, it was in my head, I don't got a good feeling about this. I got a bad feeling about this. I was pretty certain that was a bleak statement, even though there was nothing committed. It was still a pretty bleak statement on the part of the governor. And by the way, one thing to note also in that statement, he says, we don't want to do that. We don't intend to do that. It's up to you to take care of yourselves. And it's it was a swipe at many of the residents of California, I think. At least that's the way I heard it. It was a swipe at the population, the segment of California residents who are not wearing masks and who are not practicing social distancing, and they just want to go out and do whatever they want. And he's saying, no, you can't. Now, well, I guess he is, because there's no enforcement. Okay, sidetrack. There's no enforcement It's such a strange thing. The mask wearing is required by the state, but nobody's enforcing it. And I believe I read in an article somewhere else that it was suggested there's an actual number that you can call to report somebody who isn't wearing a mask when they should be. And it's like calling 911. Instead of calling 911, you call 211. I don't know if that's true or not, if that's a real thing. Can you imagine having your how does that, who comes down, who answers the call to 211? And what do? They send out, because they're not going to send out police. It's like, that's the last thing that anybody wants right now, is police going around arresting people for not wearing a mask. Are you kidding? The optics of that right now would be horrendous. So who's going to come down and what's you call 211, you narc a guy out, and then what? And then what? And that's what okay, I'm getting sidetracked. So there you go. Disney has said they're not going to do anything until they hear, get guidance from the state, and then they'll start making plans. Now, what's interesting is that this news, the Gavin Newsom statement, Disney's statement today, and the news that there's growing momentum, the movement to protest Disney's decision to open on July 17th, both with a petition. People were signing petitions, but there was an actual protest scheduled for Saturday. I was actually going to cover it. I was going to go down to Disneyland on Saturday at 10 a.m. and cover the protest. Bring my camera and talk about it, and I don't know, see what because I didn't, I thought that would be interesting. I don't think that's going to happen now because they're not going to open on July 17th. So the timing of that is interesting, in that Disney has, well, I should say the state of California has given, it almost feels like they've given Disney an out. You know what I mean? Because it's just all three of these things happening at the same time. And I don't know, they just feel oddly connected, those three things. The protests, well, of course they're connected, but in a weird way. And I'll get to that in a second, I think. But I do wonder if part of the reason why Disney says they can't just jump from July 4th to July 17th. That's not enough time for them to prepare the park. And I don't know how true that is. I like to think that ever since they started their announcement, or made their announcement that they were going to open on July 17th, that they were getting the park ready. That they weren't just sitting there. Like, go ahead, go to work, start working, start doing whatever it is you got to do to make the park ready. Call in horticulture, call in maintenance, call in all those cast members and get that started. But are they suggesting that 2 weeks isn't enough time to get the park ready? Are they suggesting that that's because they need what, 2 months to prepare the park, a month or more to prepare the park for opening? If they weren't doing that already, that just doesn't seem logical to me. And I'm wondering also if part of the reason why they need more time, not just 2 weeks, is that they have to, once they get that thing done, once they get that agreement approved, the plans approved by the state, then they need to go to their unions and tell them how to get ready. Tell them, the health and safety protocols that are required from the cast members. That seems very logical, until you realize in this very announcement that Disney made today that they said they've already come to an agreement with 20 cast member unions at Disneyland, one of which represents what did it say, 11,000 cast members? That has to be in park, because I don't think it takes 11,000 anywhere else. That has to be the in park frontline cast members, I'm assuming. Which, by the way, contradicts this narrative that's going around, and I don't want to say that it's not true, but that the cast members are not ready to go back to work. That it's the cast members that are driving this petition and this protest for Disney to delay the opening. That's just a question that I have. Why is it that we have, a protest planned and also 20 different signed agreements with, unions? Preparedness for how to get employees back to work, how to get cast members back to work. They seem to be at odds. Do they not? And I don't know. I don't know. It's a curious dichotomy, in my opinion. I would like to know more. I would like to know more. So you have this narrative or this movement that suggests that people don't want Disneyland to open, that they think it's too soon for Disneyland to open. And I would say that has the support also of regular guests. You look at the Twitter, on Twitter, I checked, the responses to Disney's announcement and the response to our retweet of Disney's tweet. I would say the ratio was 90-10 in favor of this. 90% of the people said, good job, Disney, you're going to open too soon. And just a few people were saying, you're worrying for nothing. This is a big nothing burger, and go to the park and have fun. And it kind of blows my mind a little bit when I think about that. When I think about the 90-10 ratio, which is just a rough guess in my mind, is that people are concerned about whether or not Disney is safe enough with Disneyland or any Disney park. People are concerned. They think it's too soon to open. They fear for the health of guests. This is a majority. But then I look at what's happening when I go outside and I see the majority of people that I encounter in public places, with the exception of grocery stores, really. But when I go out into public places like Palm Springs, the majority of people aren't wearing masks or practicing social distancing. And I'm hearing this in other cities as well. People have come forward and said, yeah, it's even worse in Big Bear. I think I saw that in the comment on the video. So on the one hand, you're concerned about the safety of guests and it's too soon for Disneyland to open, the majority. And on the other hand, you're not so concerned that you won't wear a mask or practice social distance. It's as if perhaps the way it looks to me, like Disney fans are in some sort of tiny intersection on a Venn diagram of those guests who are afraid for public safety and also practice their own measures of safety, meaning they wear masks and practice social distance. I had a hard time reconciling that thing, as I was kind of hashing this out. How come the majority of people are okay with not wearing masks, but then it's too early to open Disneyland? The majority. Like I said, I'm positive that there are people out there who are saying, no, I think it's too early for Disneyland to open, and I'll wear a mask. But that's not, my eyeballs aren't getting that message. So at least in terms of the circles that I'm listening to, the circles that I'm paying attention to on Twitter, there's a clear majority that says that it's too soon. And that's something to think about too, with regard to Disney's mindset, from management about how ready they were. And it goes back to the question that I asked in the last video that we did like this: is Disneyland ready? And I asked it in the sense that, are they prepared for what's going to happen with guests who don't want to wear a mask and guests who aren't willing to listen to the guidelines? And are we ready to do those things that are required for Disneyland to open? But it was also in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, is Disney fully vested? Are they fully prepared? Are they committed to opening on July 17th? Because I wonder if they were. You may recall we did a article. I don't remember if it was an article or video now that I can't remember. Again, it's either here on YouTube or on our website at freshbakedisney.com, where I had suggested the rumors that I were hearing. This is strange. This is really strange. The rumors that I was hearing just 2 days before they made their announcement was that Disney was in no hurry to open the park. That they could wait. That they wanted to see how things went. and they were in no hurry, and they could wait until August or September. And then out of nowhere, and by the way, there was even a denial by Disney internally of the July 17th date. Some people, because it was Disney's birthday, and it seemed like a logical thing to happen. And you saw, myself included, I had predicted that date, and a lot of people out there were saying, that makes sense. But there was a denial of that rumor going around that they were going to open on the 17th, which is exactly what happened. But it just felt like Disney wasn't in any kind of hurry to open the park. So I asked this question in my head as we're hearing this announcement. It goes back to the connection of those three things. What is driving Disney with this delay? You've got the state of California saying, maybe we'll roll things back a little bit. Maybe people are getting too, footloose and fancy free out there with the masks and the social distancing, and maybe we need to rein things in a little bit. And then you've got them saying that they're not going to give any guidance until July 4th, which is curious, by the way. Why? Why state of California? Is it because you're thinking about rolling back or, going back to stricter guidelines? Has to be, right? If they're not going to give any guidance until another 2 weeks from now, it's because they're not sure. The state of California isn't sure if places like theme parks and stadiums are ready to, sporting events are ready to be opened up again. Mind you, sporting events aren't going to have crowds like Disneyland would. It's just, it baffles the mind. Considering how strict we are in just doing normal day-to-day stuff. You go to Target, you got to stay 6 feet apart. You try to be mindful, and you're trying to avoid crowds. The number is 50 or more. But there's this other, somehow it's set aside, somehow it's a different conversation, a theme park that can hold 80,000 people. Somehow that's a different conversation. No longer are we saying 50 or more. Don't go to the beach with 50 people, but go to Disneyland where there's going to be 40,000 people. That's okay. I'm not saying one is or isn't. It's just, for me, I don't know how you balance those two things. I am prepared to go to the beach. I am prepared to go shopping. I am prepared to go to Disneyland. I am of the camp that they should open things up, and that we need to be, as humans, better at wearing masks and social distancing. By all means, correct me and tell me that I'm wrong. That's fine. That is just my feeling. That's my position on things, and we're all allowed to have that. I'm not going to second guess you and your choice, but I do wish and ask that you wore a mask, just for me, for my health, because it would make me feel better. I'm selfish like that. I'm just kidding. It is a curious balance that they're trying to strike here with what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do, where the guidelines are with this 50 people, but 40,000 is okay. In the announcement, I asked the question, let me roll that back. I asked myself the question, is it the state of California, is Disney's motivation for putting things off is it due to what the state of California has said or done, or is it due to the growing legion of guests and cast members who are saying it's too early to open? And if Disney were to, let's say, ignore all that, ignore the protests, ignore the petitions, and open anyway, what are the optics of that for Disney? That if, let's say, there is a spike, let's say that it becomes a hub of whatever, and now Disney looks really bad for ignoring all those pleas from the people, don't open yet. So going back to that question, is Disney's motivation due to the state of California or to the protesters, or both? And actually, I'm inclined to think that it is both. Actually, I'm inclined to think that Disney wasn't confident in the opening date themselves, and that they're using these whatever, the California, the protesters thing as an excuse almost to delay the opening. I think they wanted to delay the opening. I think it's at least possible. Now they want you to think it's the state of California. They want you to think that they're all gung-ho. And it was the state of California who's keeping them from opening the park, because in their statement they said, what is it? Yeah, we gave them a date. We established protocols. The same protocols that were being used in Hong Kong, Shanghai, and Walt Disney World. All of those, same protocols, and they were all approved in those areas. So California comes in and said, no, that's not good enough. So it's California who's keeping us closed. Now, they're saying that, and maybe that's true. Maybe that is true. But it does seem like maybe they wanted it to be true a little bit. Every signal that Disney has been sending us, in my opinion, I mean, it felt like the momentum kept going forward in spite of everything that was happening. All the signals that I'm getting, or we're getting, the unspoken ones, were saying, don't come to Disneyland. It felt a lot like Galaxy's Edge. You guys remember the months leading up to Galaxy's Edge? And everything that was coming out of Disney's mouth is, we're going to be super crowded. You probably don't want to come here. Don't come here. Don't park here. Don't do this. Just don't come to Disneyland. We're good. We're good. We're going to be fine. People listened and they didn't show up. And I have a feeling that's exactly what was going to happen here if they did, when they do open up Disneyland. It's going to be like that. But all the energy that's coming out of, Disney, it seems to be, don't come to Disneyland. Now, I can't cite specifics like that, so maybe it's just a feeling that I have myself and I'm projecting. That's certainly possible. We're all human and we project ourselves a lot when that happens. But, I mean, you can't deny that is what happened at Galaxy's Edge, right? That Disney was sending those signals out at Galaxy's Edge. Don't come. And I maybe it's because the health and safety guidelines that they're putting out there, and all the the requiring of the masks and the social distance, that those are unspoken signals not to go to the park. To the extent, okay, let me put it to you this way. You go to Disneyland, you're required to wear a mask, you're required to maintain social distance. Certain things aren't going to happen. There's no fireworks. There's no character meet and greets. There's not a lot of the things that make Disneyland what it is. They're going to take all that stuff away. How much fun, actual fun, are you going to have? Like, and I think we've talked about this in the past. When do we stop worrying about, the guidelines and start actually enjoying ourselves? When you go to the park, where's your head at? Where's your head at when you're at Disneyland? Is your head at how much fun it's going to be to meet Mickey Mouse, or how much fun it's going to be to ride Space Mountain, or all the cool foods you can eat, and churros and happiness and music and joy? Or is it going to be, is my mask on right? God, it's sweaty in here. That guy's too close to me. I sure am pissed that I can't meet Mickey Mouse. Don't tell me where I can stand or where I can't stand. And where's that frickin' safety or the no mask zone? Like, where's that balance? I had a conversation with Adam the Woo about this recently, and he agreed, because I said, I mean, are we going to have any kind of actual fun when we go? And he's like, no, it's gonna be a drag. It's gonna be a drag. But we're going because it's historical. However, whatever kind of Disneyland we get, it will be history. And I will want to have said myself that I was there. I agree. That's a thing for sure. I mean, I do love Disney magic, but I have a feeling it's not going to be the same Disney magic. So what is on your Disney magic scale, a fun scale of 1 to 10, like, where are you? I think, I don't know. It won't be a 10, right? It won't be a 10. And I get the 10 easy at Disneyland. I get the 10 super easy. But I don't think I'll be there on July 17th, or, well, whatever date it winds up being. So if Disney is truly concerned about whether or not they should open. Why is it? Because we're not getting any of that kind of vibe out of Florida or Shanghai or Hong Kong or Paris. Why is that? Why are we not getting the same, concern over Florida? And maybe we are, and it's not vocal enough. I don't know. There's no protests planned for Florida. I don't think there's no petition for cast members not to come back to work in Florida. Nothing in Shanghai or Hong Kong or Paris either. Now they don't have. I don't know if they have unions in the overseas parks, but that could be something. So what is that? Now, part of the reason could be that Florida's already approved all that's, the opening of Disney World and the resorts and all that stuff. They've already got dates. They've already wound things up and got things started. So it would be really difficult to unwind them if they were having any actual fear. Not that I think that they would, because I feel like the state of Florida has been pretty consistent in their desire to keep the momentum going and to keep opening things and keep the economy going in Florida. They've been pretty consistent about that. Good, bad, or indifferent, that's a different conversation, if that's a good thing or not. I'm not here to judge on that. I'm just saying that seems to be their position. But I feel like there's a missing component of that conversation that is worth at least acknowledging, and that is Disneyland is tiny. Disneyland is a tiny, tiny little place, especially when you compare it. I mean, it's big. It's I don't know however many acres, but compared to any other Disney park anywhere in the world, it's the smallest. I think Magic Kingdom is 50% larger than Disneyland is. And then you've got plus the other parks that you can, Epcot. I have a feeling you probably won't be able to throw a rock and hit another guest at Epcot. That place is so big. So I think that there's legitimate concern, and this is something that I've worried about from the very beginning about Disneyland compared to some of the other parks, is that I don't know that you can apply the same guidelines at Disneyland as you can at other parks. Just think about some of the more notorious places in Disneyland, choke points that we have, that are everywhere at Disneyland. Adventureland, Tarzan's Treehouse. I mean, you can't fit 4 shoulders wide in some of those paths. Or, if you go left toward Pirates instead of going, or, the ramp over Pirates, it's narrow as heck. Some of my most frightening moments at Disneyland have occurred at that bottleneck in Adventureland in front of Indiana Jones and Tarzan's Treehouse. It's terrifying. Now, I'm not here to say that we're going to experience that, but it's so easy for that to happen at Disneyland. It doesn't take much for that to become an issue, the Adventureland situation. Go to New Orleans Square and through all the shops and you can't fit more than 3 shoulders wide in those shops. So even at 20 or 30% capacity, it doesn't take much to start to get people close together in that location. Tomorrowland. Astro Orbiter, the entrance, Astro Orbiter and Star Tours, Buzz Lightyear, those 3 attractions all right there. That scares me. That legit scares me if you overcrowd those. And there's nothing Disney can do about it. There's nothing they can do about it. I mean, they can limit the capacity, but okay. So if capacity is 80,000 and they limit it to even 30,000, and that means 24,000 people in the park. Just a tiny portion of those 24,000 is enough to clog up Tomorrowland in front of Star Tours. Even with limited capacity, you could have an issue there, definitely. And you could do things, and I'm wondering if maybe they will. They're sort of an understood flow at that point in Tomorrowland, Astro Orbiter. The Star Tour side is in, Buzz Lightyear side is out. And they could force that. And boy, that would go a long way, actually, because I feel like they're going to have to figure this out. Oh, my gosh. You know, because you see them do that. I see that in Walmart. They've got arrows where they want you. Show of hands. You've been to Walmart and you've seen the arrows on the ground. And it's like the arrows are saying, I want you to shop this way. And if you want to see the aisle next door, you got to go around and come in this way. Don't go against the arrows. Show of hands if you actually do that. Now, I'm a mindful person. I definitely am a rule follower. I haven't even had so much as a moving violation since 1996. So, you know, I'm a rule follower, but that's the thing I don't do. I shop where I want to shop. Strike me down. But anyway, I feel like it's the opposing traffic is where you get a lot of you get contact, right? You'll get a lot of contact, a lot of not following social distance if you get everybody going in the same direction, it's a lot safer, I feel like. So I don't know if that's something that they could do, but right there, that situation in Tomorrowland is a prime example where they can do something about that. I don't know what they would do in New Orleans Square, though, unless you put like a center divider down, and we're all pretty well trained, I think, intuitively, stay to the right, right? That's how traffic works, stay to the right. Then again, you've got that situation where you've got cross traffic. You've got people going one way and other people, I don't know. It takes more brains than I have, social engineers to figure that out. But I digress. There's a lot of opportunities. There's a lot of opportunities at Disneyland for social distance to break down. Main Street. Now, granted, my negative experiences at Main Street are mostly when a show is happening, fireworks or a parade or, anything like that. And since they're taking that stuff away, we won't have, super duper crowds. I mean, you've walked down, not down Main Street, but on the sidewalk of Main Street when they've closed off the actual street, and that's another scary proposition. I have feared for my life more than once walking down Main Street under those conditions, but that won't be the case when they first open. Again, I digress, but Main Street can be pretty scary. Going through the castle, I don't know. See, like, it's so small at Disneyland that it makes me wonder, as I come a long way to getting to my point, it makes me wonder if Disney is afraid that they can't manage it safely. At least at levels, they can manage it at 30% maybe, but they can't manage it at 50% where they need to be in order to start making money, in order for it to start making sense for them to keep the parks open. They can manage it at, I don't know, man. So I think they were just going with the inertia of things. The momentum of things was saying we're going to open on July 17th, and they were just going to keep going until something got in their way, hoping that it did. And maybe they got what they wanted. Maybe they got subconsciously, Disney got what they wanted, and that was more time. More time for what? I don't know, because I don't know if you can solve these problems in a month. If you didn't have an answer already, you probably aren't going to get one. They've had plenty of time to figure this out. So I don't know if that's it or not. More time for, well, I mean, certainly not more time for a vaccine. They're not waiting for that, I don't think. I don't know. That was my mindset for a while back there. When this first happened, I thought that Disney might wait for a vaccine just because they were so ultra concerned about anything negative happening in the park. And maybe they still are. I don't know. Maybe they still are. You know what? Watch Disney World, I guess, is what's going to happen. Watch Disney World on July 11th and see where we're at. See if this thing keeps going forward, because they're taking reservations, Disney World is. The reservations are happening. Resort guests have booked days at Animal Kingdom and Epcot and Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. And day after tomorrow, annual pass holders are going to get to book days. I wonder if that's in jeopardy. Probably not. Walt Disney World isn't in any jeopardy, I don't think, because, like I said, you can't. It's just so hard to unwind that clock once you got it going. That's a difficult thing to do. So with all that said, what is the verdict? What do I think is going to happen? I think that we're going to see the park open. I feel like it's 45 to 60 days from the announcement or from the approval from the state of Disney's proposal to reopen. So if it's on July 4th, which I can't remember the date that they said. If it's July 4th, then you're looking at mid-August to early September, something like that, depending on how long it takes for them to get ramped up. Having said that, I think that it gives them 30 to 45 more days to get Haunted Mansion done, to get Snow White done, to get King Arthur's Carousel done, maybe even to fix those crazy stairs in Tomorrowland. You've got more time. I think that those things will all be ready when they do open. I wasn't so sure about that just a couple days ago. I thought we might open without those refurbs done because I don't think they've been working on that place at all. I really don't. I don't think that they've been doing any kind of work at Disneyland at all. So I do think we have a chance of having that stuff open. Still no Avengers Campus though. You're looking at Avengers Campus. You're probably looking at sometime in November, I think. That makes the most sense, or maybe even after that. Who knows? But I'll say this: no matter what day that is, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there on July 9th when Downtown Disney opens up, and you know what? I may be there on July 17th anyway, just to be in the out in the Esplanade or something like that on the date that they should open. But whatever date that they decide to open up Disneyland, I'm going to be there. Because I miss it so much, man. I miss Disneyland. I'm that guy that is willing to try it out, maybe not go every week like I used to, but I'm going to be there when it opens. And I know that it won't be as fun as it normally is, as I talked about before on that fun scale. I think I'll probably be at a 6 or a 7 maybe. I'm curious if you are watching this and you've been to Shanghai or to I think Hong Kong's been open for a few days now, or Universal Universal Florida. How much fun did you have? Tell me about your experience. Give me a comment or something like that. Tell me about your experience. I would like to, people have been directing me to other videos from other YouTubers, but I want to hear about a normal fan who isn't there to do a show and report on something. I just want to know, how much fun did you have? Was there any, well, I'm sure there must have been some degradation of the experience, but was it so much that it maybe made the trip not worth it? Maybe it was, you kind of regret it or made you sad a little bit. I don't know. Adam said something funny, or not funny, interesting the other day when we were talking. He said if you weren't a vlogger or a cast member or an annual pass holder, just don't even bother, because it won't be worth the individual cost of the experience. Now, I don't know. I mean, that could be a true statement. Because how can we say for sure? Because we haven't been there to know. But I have a feeling there is some truth in that myself. Because the annual pass holder has it doesn't have to be the perfect experience, because I could just come back another time and not worry about it. Cast members for the same reason. I mean, they're kind of vested and they love it. Vloggers, say what you want, man. We are what we are. What can I say? I can't deny it. But if you're like a single day ticket holder or multi-day, you're coming in. Well, I don't think anybody's coming in from out of town, to be honest. I really don't. That goes back to that statement I had before. They don't want you to come. Stay home. They're telling you, stay home. This is going to be a locals only situation for a while, I think. both in Florida and in California. I think they're going to be, that kind of makes me worried about Florida a little bit in that sense, because it's not a locals park. It's a tourists park. It's a people coming in from out of town park. So at least that's what they tell me. Not so much here in California, very much locals here. I'm hoping for better than 6 or 7 on the fun scale, but we'll see. Until then, guys, that's our conversation for the night. We will see you next time. I'm going to have more news coming to you. Follow us here on Fresh Baked on YouTube, of course, and then follow us on our website at freshbakedisney.com, where we post other articles and news information about this and other things that happen. Hopefully we'll have something to talk about besides getting ready to open the parks soon. So thanks for watching, guys. We love you very much. Please remember to be kind to one another, be patient, have patience and love in your heart when you come in contact with one another, be that at the park or just in normal everyday life when you're at the grocery store and and you encounter fellow man out there. Remember that we're all going through something. We all are. You're not the only one having a bad day. You're not the only one whose things aren't going your way. We're all going through something. I promise you. We're all going through something. So give everybody a break. Give them a break. Be nice. I love you guys. We'll see you next time. Fresh Baked.